Hi and welcome to another episode of My Life and a Pipe. I've called this episode The Pipe Hospital. And a number of years ago, I was 17 or so at the time, I used to get the train into Newcastle upon Tyne, and in Percy Street there used to be a shop called the Pipe Hospital, and as a pipe smoker it was a fantastic little shop quite close to Lees's Arcade, I think, and Handyside Arcade. Both have now long since gone. I think that area is now a multi-storey car park. But the Pipe Hospital did what its name was. It was a place that you could take pipes to for repairs. And I think that's such a lovely idea that little pipe hospitals, perhaps in other parts of the country, existed, where you could take your pipe with a broken tenon or whatever the problem was, and they would be able to repair it on the premises, often on the same day. So I think I've got a photograph of the shop, an old black and white picture. I've managed to find a couple of old black and white pictures of the Pipe Hospital. The biggest problem for me will be trying to insert them into this video. We'll see how we get on. But it was just in the heyday, I would say, of pipe smoking, long since gone, and it's a shame. What I should say today, I'm smoking a Ben Wade. I think its proper term is a skater. I've always known them as tugboats. I don't know if you can see where we are. It's a sitter, but I think the proper name is a skater. It's got Ben Wade and then made in England 187. I love this little pipe, but it does burn hot, so I take a little bit of care with it. But the reason about today's video, the Pipe Hospital, see if this light will behave. Yeah. I'm also smoking Gareth and Hoggett's Glengarry Flake. I used to go to the Pipe Hospital when it was open, and I remember one day looking in the window and, never having seen one before, recognised exactly what it was. By this time I'd purchased my first good Calabash pipe and loved it, and still have it today. But I saw this thing in the window and went inside the shop and asked the chap about the Calabash stand in his window. And the man looked at me and had no idea what I was talking about. Peered into the window, couldn't see it from inside the shop, so he came outside and I pointed to him and I said, "It's a Calabash stand. And how much was it?" And he said, "That's been in the shop for a number of years." And he said, "I had no idea what it was. He couldn't remember where it had come from, but as soon as I'd said a Calabash stand, he realised what it was." Nowadays you can pick these more or less exact stands up on eBay, but going back 40 something years, this chap had obviously acquired it from somewhere, but it was a little bit uncertain as to exactly what it was. And I think for a young pipe smoker, he was quite surprised that a 17-year-old youth would be remotely interested in pipes, let alone know what this was. So he went back inside the shop, rutted around in the shop window, brought it out. There was no price on it, and he said, there you go, you can have it. So I was very thankful, and it fitted my Calabash perfectly, and that pipe has occupied this place in this stand for years. But that was the Pipe Hospital. Sadly long since gone, but the reason I'm calling this episode the Pipe Hospital is I'm looking to have a pipe repaired. And this pipe is marked Shoreline, the Oxford. So I'm assuming Shoreline might be the maker, the Oxford might be the model. It's quite a big billiard with a rusticated finish. Again, I've had it for quite a number of years, and it was a particular favourite of mine. About 10 years ago, I was persuaded to have it modified or converted to a vape pipe. Now, vaping and me, I'm not a fan of vaping at all, and I quickly realised that. But the pipe had been modified to make it a vape pipe, probably one of the first ones. I don't know if many companies ever converted pipes, but that's what they sent back. So this unscrews, a battery went into the bowl, and I will say it fitted very well, and there was a little concealed button that you depressed, and a cable ran through the bowl and up the stumble and activated the heating element in here, and the vaping oil, fluid, whatever you'd want to call it, would be heated up, and it worked quite efficiently and effectively. You would have to screw, no, let me see, yes, sorry, I've removed a piece already. Yeah, this was the charger that would charge the battery up, and then when the battery was charged you would screw this up, having filled this up already. Not a pretty thing by any means, but I'm very, very keen to get this pipe put back into active service. But I need somebody who can make a new stem, or at least marry up an existing stem to fit this pipe. There's a little threaded bushing inside the stummel, and I think it wouldn't be a hard job to machine something with a matching thread and then just a stem. Sorry, I'm not sure that the camera's seeing this. So a little threaded insert with a metal tubular stem that you could then push a conventional mouthpiece on. So around about September last year, I contacted a chap called Simon from Wright Pipes in the UK, who does repair pipes, and sent some photographs and an explanation, and we exchanged a few emails, and he was quite confident that he could actually get this pipe back into service, but explained that his order book was quite full and that it would be sometime in January before he would be back in touch with me. We're into February now and I haven't heard back from him, so I will send him another email to see if he's still interested. But I just wondered if any viewers could recommend an alternative pipe repairer or pipe hospital in the UK where somebody could make me a new stem for this pipe. As it was a favourite, and I kick myself now when I look at it and think, Mark, what have you done? But yeah, back to the Ben Wade. It's I've had it a number of years. It was an estate pipe. It's in very good condition, but it does burn hot, and I take a little bit of care when I'm really, light is the bane of my life. There we go. Oh. Yes, the Pipe Hospital. It was the last vestiges of a time that doesn't really exist anymore. The days of high street tobacconists, I think, are almost over, which is a shame. But Newcastle had a number of excellent tobacconists. In Grey Street there was a shop called Mackenzie, Lilly and White. I think it later became Mackenzie Lilly. I'm not sure where the White went or if the White came later, but we are going back quite a long time. And there was one or two others, the names slip my mind now. But I think all of them, I was frequenting these just after I left school. And I left school at 15. I obviously looked a little bit older than 15 perhaps, but all of the shops that were very tolerant of a youngster going in and either just looking or occasionally buying a pipe or tobacco. But Mackenzie Lilly and White was run by an elderly lady. I think she may have been perhaps Polish or Czech or something like that. And it was like stepping back in time. I don't know if the years have played with my memory, but it was like a Victorian era interior in the shop. I seem to recall it had a library kind of ladders that went to a mahogany display unit with lots of drawers, and it was in Grey Street for many years. It later moved, I'm not sure what the name of the street is, but it went down and round a corner, and the elderly lady was still there, but it wasn't in such a nice shop, and closed down. There were a number of other tobacconists in Newcastle, but without doubt Mackenzie and Lilly and White was the shop that brings back the most memories. That and the Pipe Hospital. I think it's nowadays a high street premises dedicated solely really to repairing tobacco pipes. Wouldn't survive. But if anybody can suggest where I can get that converted pipe re-stemmed, I'd appreciate that. I'm a little bit out of touch with that kind of thing. But anyway, that's a short video for today, entitled The Pipe Hospital. It's a sentimental reminiscence of how things used to be. Take care. Thank you.